injected with a poison.
Yes, welcome to the live stream, welcome back. It's Kutski here, Twitch sessions, going in for some old school hardcore rave this evening. That's what it's going to be about. Going to be getting into the mix very shortly. I've kind of been obsessed with rave music of recently, so yeah, so that's what this show is dedicated to for the next 2 hours. Let's see what we've got in the chat, nice and early. I see you lively tonight, guys. Shout out to DJ Delboy, shout out to the Reaper Waits, Alan Jenkins, shout out to Marius Tiberian. I won't say exactly what Marius is up to this evening. Shout out to Tested Silver, shout out to Jimmer93, shout out to Niels Hack. Real Scooter J, thank you for the subscription, 11 months in a row, nearly a year, that's crazy. Awesome stuff, thanks for the support. Shout out to Specialized, tuned in from Kansas City in the afternoon, big up. Shout out to Ali Elliott, a regular back in this evening. So let me explain a little bit about what I'm going to do. So I've been obsessed with the way that people produce old rave music, because it was a lot more difficult than it is these days. People think that old rave music sounds so simple compared to modern day stuff. There's a reason for that. The technical limitations that people made, trust me, what people were creating at the time was much more difficult for them to get to where they are than for us to create the super complicated stuff with what we have available to us now. So I actually made a video about an application called a mod tracker, which was like, Cubase, Logic, Ableton Live, software like that. It's a really easy music sequencer. But people used to make music on things like Amigas with an application called a mod tracker, and I made a short video about that. When did I make that? It's about a week ago now, something like that. So through the magic of technology, I'm going to play that for you now, just to give you a little taste. So that's coming up very shortly. Then we're going to come back, we're going to play some classic rave music, and then in about, say, 30 minutes time from now, we're going to jump behind into the mix, into the decks. Which one's the button for decks? There we go, DJ Cam over there. It's going to go live, so we're going to shoot in the mix for an hour or so, and then I'll come back on here at the end and have a chat with you guys and catch up as always. So first up, I want to play you a little video about these tracker software that I've been obsessed with for no apparent reason. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes time, but this is a really cool video. Imagine it as like Kutski's little documentary on how rave music was produced in the early 90s. So check this out, and I will see you on the other side very shortly. So I've had kind of an obsession recently with an old school way of producing dance music called mod trackers, a piece of software. Now many of you are going to be familiar with a traditional music sequencer like Cubase and Logic, and very primitive versions of these did exist in the 90s, and a lot of people used them hooked up to MIDI equipment and samplers and things like that. But there was a very underground movement, especially on the Commodore Amiga, where people were producing music just with these mod trackers. Now what that is, it's like a step sequencer, like you imagine a 303 or a 909 drum machine. And instead of having 16 steps, you had 64 steps. You had 4 channels, and you could load your samples into the program and basically just sequence the samples and change some of the parameters of it. It's a very difficult way of working if you're used to modern day production, but I kind of got obsessed because some big hits were written back then, like Urban Shakedown's Some Justice was actually written with a mod tracker on 2 Amigas that were manually synced together, and I read an article about it in an old issue of Amiga Format, I think it was. And it's just fascinating to think, how such great tracks could be written with such primitive and difficult to master software, and I think it kind of takes me back to what the essence of rave music was really about back then. It wasn't about having the most expensive equipment or, you know, the big recording studios. It was about just making the music that you wanted to try and make with the means that you have available. And I think, you know, sometimes limitations can force creativity. So I've kind of got obsessed with this, researched into it, and I found an old school mod tracker that's compatible with the old Amiga software still, but it runs on the iPad, and I've been having to play around with it, so I thought I'd give you a little tour of the software now so you can get a better understanding for what mod trackers are all about. Okay, so the app that I've been using on the iPad is called Vivid Tracker, and like I said, the project files on this one are actually compatible with, I think it's Pro Tracker on the Amiga. So yeah, it's very authentic to the original, and yes, this is it. It's almost like looking into the Matrix, isn't it? So I'll just show you a blank project playing so you can kind of get the idea. These numbers down the side are actually the steps. Like I said, it is part of a step sequencer. If you're used to using an old school drum machine, you'd know the 16 steps. Each pattern has 64 steps on this, and there's 4 tracks that you can load multiple samples into each track and then hit play, and it'll just simply scroll through and play the commands that you've programmed in. So obviously you're not going to hear anything at the moment, so we'll jump back up to the top there. The first thing we need to do is to load in a sample, so we can jump over to the sampler page. We're set to be sample number 1. And now we can hit load. So there we go, loaded in a kick drum. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, that's effectively your piano roll. So you can play your kick drum wherever you want. So if we jump back to the sequencer page now, to explain a little bit about what's going on each track as far as the numbers goes. The first parameter, you can see where there's a little dash, that's what note will be played on the keyboard. So let's find a suitable note for the kick drum to play at. B2 sounds good. So then you would go to edit and hit B2. So that's going to tell you B2 is the note that's being played, 01 is the sample number being played. The far number is a parameter value, which I'll explain a little bit more about. And then this next to it, you can put in a letter, which will let it tell you what the parameter's controlling. So for example, F, I think, controls the tempo. So if you punch an F in here, you can then put in your tempo here, but you can't put in BPM like we used to back now. Back then you had to do it in hexadecimal. I'll be honest, I still don't really understand how that works. But then I think if you put a C in there as well, you can change the velocity of the note, so you can change the volume of how loud that sample will be played. And then, yeah, there's other parameters where you can change the pan and things like that. So, like I said, a very, very kind of archaic way of working, but it's cool. It's a fun way of working. So now if we hit play on the project, you'll just hear that first kick drum. So obviously, if you wanted a solid 4/4 kick drum, we're going to have to go through and put the kicks on every note. So I'll just shoot through now and do that. And now we should have a 4/4 kick drum pattern ready to play. So let's test it. Cool. So as you can see at the top of the screen, that's pattern number 0, and we're at position number 0 in the project. So what we want to do now is to copy this pattern into pattern slot 1 and then move the position onto 1, and then we can add some more stuff so we can actually progress the track. So now we've got the same pattern on pattern 0 and pattern 1, and we're telling the track to start at pattern 0 and then move on to pattern 1, and we want it to play pattern 1. So now we can start adding a snare drum. So again, we'll jump back to the sampler, switch to sample number 2, which will be blank. And now we can load a snare drum. So we'll jump back to the sequencer page now, move over to track 2. We're working in sample 2, so let's find a good key for the snare to run in. Yeah, why not D3? So we'll have an offbeat snare pattern now, and I'll just program that in for you as before. So again, we hit edit, and then we'll put an offbeat snare in. And let's hear how that sounds. There, and it's jumped back to the beginning again. So if we go back to that, I think we can add a little bit more spice into the snare to give it a bit more movement. So let's stick a couple of extra notes in edit mode. Okay, let's give that a listen now. Right, I think we can do a little bit more at the end. Like I said, it's basically like a sampler, so we can even put a downward snare roll at the end. So if we're on D3 there, let's go, it's just a simple snare roll downwards for the end. And listen to how that sounds. So yeah, you get the basic idea of how you would sequence. Now obviously you can throw in your synth samples, vocal samples, and build up to 4 tracks. And on each track you can actually have different samples. The only thing is you can't have any more than one sample playing at any one time. So if you trigger another sample in the same track, it'll kill whatever sample's currently being played. But like I said, those kind of creativities can actually create some of the most brilliant tracks, which it has done. One of the things that I did mention before is about this magic parameter number. Like I said, if you punch in F, that'll let you change the BPM of the project. I don't fully understand how it's working, but F0 and then a 4 seems to pick up the tempo enough to give us a hardcore type groove. So yeah, let's try that and see if it's worked. Yeah, so obviously I'm not planning on moving to trackers for my main music production or anything, but I think it's kind of good, almost like a sign of respect to what went before us, to look into it and to see exactly how people were producing music. Don't take anything that I've said in this video as gospel, because I've literally been playing around with these for a few hours for a couple of days. So yeah, I'm still learning, but I thought it'd be fun to share what I've been doing, because I posted a few clips online and people were asking a lot of questions, so I thought it'd be nice to make a video to kind of explain it a little bit better. Now, I did mention the track Urban Shakedown Some Justice, which many of you might be familiar with, that was actually made on Trackers, and I managed to get hold of the original project file for that as well. So just to round up the video, I wanted to try and make my own primitive remix using the original samples and the mod tracker on the iPad to see if I could actually put together a short composition of my own with it. So yeah, this is Some Justice by Urban Shakedown, Kutski's mod tracker remix. Let's see what I've learned so far.
Yeah, check this next track out. You got Asterix in space. Watch your bass bins, I'm telling you.
So that's pretty cool, isn't it? That's been my obsession while I've been travelling for the past couple of weeks, messing around with that on the iPad. Like I said, I saw Alan Jenkins saying, I don't really know much about production, so this is kind of cool to watch. This isn't how people produce music now, trust me. But the music in the background now, this was probably not made on a tracker, if I'm honest. Not many rave tracks were. Certainly not on the old Amiga trackers like I was doing then. But yeah, a handful were, including the track that I remixed, Urban Shakedown, Some Justice. So yeah, I think it's just really fascinating, just kind of like, yeah, really interesting. So before I move on too much, I just want to say a big thanks to Billy J97 and Night Viper for the subscriptions. Again, appreciate that, guys. It does help with the show. Like I said, I'm more all in on this whole live streaming thing than I probably should be from a business standpoint, which I guess is why no other DJ's doing it other than me like this, really. But I enjoy it. I like it. So yeah, so I do appreciate you guys supporting with the subscriptions, which is, you know, paying for all the fancy equipment and, you know, helping towards, but yeah, I say we're helping towards it really, to be honest, because everything's really expensive these days. But yeah, I like it and I enjoy it and I appreciate you guys joining me each week. So yeah, easy way to support the show. Time for my weekly plug. If you're on Amazon Prime, you're an Amazon Prime member, you get one free Twitch Prime subscription each month if you link your Amazon account to your Twitch account, and then you can give that that Twitch Prime subscription to anyone you want. You can kick it my way, costs you no money. You get, you know, it's just sitting there ready for you to use, and the Amazon man gives me the money instead, and then that pays for all stuff like all the crazy bullshit that I'm surrounded by right now. I know a lot of you guys have done that, so thank you if you have taken the time out to do that. And especially yeah, people like Night Viper, who's obviously not on Amazon Prime, has put his hand in his pocket to give me a tier 1 subscription, so thank you, sir. There we go, the sales pitch is working. Shout out to Priest J with a Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you. Right, let's get the counter started. I'm not just here to talk and sales pitch you. Right, so it's all about old school rave tonight, and I'm playing you some like really early stuff, like, you know, kind of like 91, 92 in the background now for the next 15 minutes, and then I'm going to jump into the mix over there on the turntables, and we're going faster and harder as we go in for some like early happy hardcore. Now when I say like early hardcore ravey classics, I'm talking about, I think the happy hardcore sound started for me with the SMD releases. Everyone knows Slipmat from SL2. Back, you know, in the early 90s, they were making music like this in the background, you know, kind of like rave as it was called back then. And yeah, then when the SMD tracks came along, these were these kind of like slightly more up-tempo mashup records. So this music's probably like around what 135 BPM, and then Slipmat set up these SMD, which stands for Slipmat Dubs, and they were like mashup records of old school rave tracks but at 150 BPM with a solid 4/4 kick drum and breakbeats. For me, that was the birth of the happy hardcore sound in, like, you know, 1994, and I'm sure you can get better examples, but, you know, this is for me, from my perspective. You know, I'm sure there's earlier examples. For me, happy hardcore started with Slipmat and the SMD bootleg series, so that's where we're going to start in the mix tonight at around 150 BPM, and then we're going to go right through to, like, say 97, 98, and, you know, that kind of like, you know, when, you know, it had fully, you know, given birth to the happy hardcore sound that's recognisable to the sound today. So that's what we're going to be doing in the mix. But before that, I'm just going to hang out with you guys while the counter counts down, and we're going to play some classic early rave anthems. I've got to say early rave with a smug grin on my face, because for me, this is rave music, but the really early stuff, it's early rave. But in Holland, early rave is like 1996 Gabba. Of course, music has to have different definitions for each term in each country. I'm British, I'm going to call it early, rave, not early rave in air quotations. So I'm interested in the chat. Let me know, what's your favourite old school hardcore classic? This for me has got to be one of them. This is probably my favourite alternate track, Infiltrate 202. Just something, it's not like a super aggressive hardcore track, but it's just like dark and moody, and it's just, you can imagine this being played in like, I don't know, like a half full warehouse with just really dark, one laser going. It's, you know, kind of there's space to move, but it feels like people are like in the start of something. It's not the end of something or the peak of mainstream. It's just underground, big bass bins in an illegal warehouse rave. I was too young to be going out back then, so when I listened to this music, I just like built this fantasy in my mind. Trying to think what other tracks I can play here. Obviously, it's like I'm going to drop some Prodigy in there. Tracks with Rachel Wallace I really like. She was a great vocalist at the time.
Kutski, you pussy motherfucker!
Right, we're going to go in for something now, which I guess technically counts as house music. But back then, it was like people didn't get the knickers in a twist about definitions of genres so much. I mean, there was tracks that, you know, were like that last track. It's like, you know, that was technically hardcore, I'd say, but it was so kind of like mellow and moody. You could play it in a house set and it wouldn't sound completely out of place. Whereas this one in the background was a huge house anthem that also used to get played at hardcore raves. So yeah, this is True Faith featuring Pin-Up Girls, Take Me Away. Shout out to Swanee1 for the subscription with Twitch Prime, 8 months in a row. Thank you, appreciate that. And shout out to Orange Juicer saying that they're not on the usual account because their account got jacked by the sounds of it. That's terrible. I hope you haven't got any credit card details or anything attached to it, because that really sucks. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand what would be the point unless you had like a really unique name like Jeff and somebody really wanted it. But Orange Juice is saying that they changed the email address and password and it has a 10-month subscription record. So yeah, I'm sorry, I hope that hasn't caused you any inconvenience. The last thing you need to be concerned about is the subscription record, because I know you. That's the important thing, isn't it? So yeah, hope that gets sorted. Is there no way to contact Twitch and try and get it back again? Well, like I said, is, you know, unless there's any reason that anything's, you know, particularly tied down there. Yeah, it seems very bizarre. Shout out to Stoned on Pizza, only 21, still young, so don't have any anthems to suggest. This show isn't going to be alienating for you because I did it for both ways. It's like the idea of these type of shows that I'm doing at the moment is that for people that love the old classics, because I think I kind of sit in the middle range somewhere where I was so young when I got into rave music. I was like 8 years old when these tracks were being released, but because my older sister was into music, I became obsessed with it from a young age, but I was too young to experience the scene. So it's like I'm somewhere in the middle. So I play these old tracks so that people that are a little bit older can reminisce, and then people that are younger that have no idea that these tracks even exist, hopefully I can explain a little bit about where the scene is, where it came from, to explain where it is today, if that makes any sense. So I think it's good. It's like a history lesson with music, but it's kind of fun. And basically I'm trying to make the show that I wish was around when I was into music, when I first got into it, but there was nobody to explain anything about it, so I try and be like an open book. Shout out to Tyson Stutterman with a Twitch Prime subscription, 2 months in a row. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you taking the time out to do that because the Twitch Prime subscriptions don't roll over, do they? It doesn't automatically renew. No, it's a pain in the arse that you have to go in there and resubscribe each month. But nonetheless, I really do appreciate it. It does make a difference. Thank you. Yes, we've got a real widespread age of people. So we've got so far 21 being the youngest, and sorry Night Viper, you're heading up the top end at 39 there. I'll be interested in everybody that's tuned in at the moment. Drop your age in the chat if you're not too sensitive to those type of things. You could lie, couldn't you? But we're all friends here. I'm just interested to know the demographic. Because we've got Del Boy. Del Boy is beating a Night Viper now, 45 at the top end. Orange Juicer in at 32. Dave the Raven at 37. Bill Koss in at 27. So we've got a real widespread age group there. That's good to know. It's like the Keeping the Rave Alive shows like that. We have people that are saying, I get messages from people saying that they can't wait until they're old enough to go out to raves, they can come and see me. And then I get other people saying, thanks for doing the show. I'm too old to go to raves now, I've got responsibilities with kids, but it's great to follow the music. So yeah, so it's cool to have that widespread. I was going to call it a user base. It's not really a user base, is it? Listenership, that's the one. Brain dead today. Bank holiday weekend knocked it out of me. Oh yeah, let me give a quick plug for the gigs that I've got. I'm going to point in the wrong direction. No, I got it right this time. So this Friday I'm going to be playing in Westbury, that's near Bristol, in the southwest of England on Friday. And then because I like punishing myself with brutal weekends, on Saturday I'm playing in Las Vegas. So yeah, it's a busy weekend on the road. I'll be back doing the live stream. I'm back on Monday, so I'll be back doing the live stream on Tuesday, and I'm going to be booked. So yeah, that should be a fun stream. Like, look at all this energy that I've got tonight and the organisation of everything and how polished the show is. That's all going to go straight out the window next week. But sometimes they're the most fun shows, aren't they? Shout out to Gaius Marius saying that their older brother got them into the music. Same for me, like I said. My older sister, she got me into the music. Okay, what can we drop next? Let's go in for a classic. Prodigy, Charlie. Who doesn't love this? Yeah, Tyson in the chat saying give a shout out to the clubs that are no longer here. Wow. The old clubs that are no longer here, there's too many, man. There is too many. Obviously, the Arches in Glasgow, that's got to be the first shout. This is going to be more like UK focused for me, because obviously I grew up in the UK scene, and then I've seen a lot of the clubs like Dance Academy in Plymouth, another great one. Shout out to Merles, welcome in the chat. How's it going? 5 minutes before we get into the mix. Old school hardcore rave. Kind of 94 to 97-ish. Maybe we'll break the rules a little bit. Bagley's in London, yes. Bagley's Warehouse. Shout out to Savoury 24/7 for the Twitch Prime subscription. Appreciate that. There was another one that I missed as well, wasn't there? I think somewhere. But yeah, big thanks to everybody that's given us the subscriptions tonight. Feeling the love. IT in Amsterdam, says Bram. I don't know that one, to be honest. I didn't know the club. Was that before the time that I was playing out there a lot? Fubar's still there, isn't it? Where's Fubar? Stirling? I thought it's still there. It, not IT. It, says Bram. Whereabouts in Holland's that? Oh, sorry, you said Amsterdam. Yeah, I don't know. The only real venue in Amsterdam that I know is Melkweg and The Box. I know those two. Play there quite a lot. Stoned on Pizza, if the Arches is opening back up, I want to play on the first night there. I'm just saying, because I love that place. Excuse the strong language. That's worth a swear, isn't it? I've got a swear jar, I've got a quid in it to get the Arches open again. Escape in Swansea, yes. Many messy nights in that place as well. Yeah, the ABC in Glasgow, didn't that burn down? That's gone pretty recently, hasn't it? Planet Love, yes, if we're going to give shout outs to festivals as well. Typewriter 5 says Planet Love, no longer going. But I do know Billy and Jill that ran all of those events back then, and I still play for them regularly in Northern Ireland, so I don't think that that's got a line through it. I don't know anything that you don't know. I'm not trying to start rumours here, but I know obviously it's like, I still play for those guys at a lot of parties that they do, and so the people that ran the event haven't left the industry is what I'm saying. So Westfest is always a great rave, isn't it? That's the big one in the UK. Okay, 5 minutes left. We've got another banger that we can squeeze in quickly. I really like this track by DJ Seduction. It's a little bit dark and moody. Again, it's on that thing, but this is clearly hardcore, called Subdub. And this DJ Anime used it in a track recently. She used the same vocal. Something about breakbeats. Really into my breakbeats at the moment. I think that's why I'm listening to a lot of drum and bass. But a lot of drum and bass now is like arranged drums and stuff, where there's just something cool about chunky rolling loops like this. I know loops aren't cool at the moment, but I like them. It's funny how the vibe in music changes, isn't it? Because, you know, if you listen to this track now, like the idea of when you're writing a track at the moment, you're supposed to be trying to get that like hands up, crazy, big, huge pop, everyone's got their hands in the air, or everyone's doing this, or dancing from side to side. There's some kind of hook that the track's got to have to get a dance floor interaction, and then it's like boom, drop, onto the next one, you get another reaction off the next track, get another reaction off the next track. Whereas back then they were trying to write something to set the mood, like, you know, tracks like this are just, you know, you didn't want that big, you know, hands in the air moment every time. You just wanted that people kind of just chilling, you know, kind of probably eyes rolling in the back of their head while the breakdown was on, taking to a place, and the break beats come back in and people are just dancing, and it's a completely different vibe. It's weird, it's how the same music's evolved so much, and it's also really changed, you know, kind of, not that it's a bad thing, you know, evolution's great, and, you know, it's a new scene for a new generation. But yeah, I just think it's funny how it's like, you know, the focus of what people are writing for, it's really changed now, hasn't it? So I'm about to jump into the mix with some old school hardcore rave. A lot newer than the stuff that we're playing, a lot more upbeat, and we're only getting faster as we go on through the mix. So yeah, so let me know in the chat as we're going along, like what your favourite beats are, tracks that you remember, any memories, stuff like that. It's always great to look back. And keep the chat busy, because I have noticed a lot of times it's like as soon as I turn my back, so I haven't got a microphone set up over there, so I do notice the chat dies down a little bit. So chat amongst yourselves, people, and all that, you know, keep it busy, and I'll keep checking in on it as well. And I will be back after the mix as well to kind of, you know, drop in and we can chat and wrap up this awesome show. So yeah, let's get straight into the mix.
Let's do it. Do it.
Bring it on down. Bring it on down. Bring it on. Now take it higher. Now take it higher. Bring it on down. Feel your body burn with desire. Now take it higher. Feel your body burn with desire.
Now is the
Bring it on
time.
down. Take it higher. Bring it on down. Take it higher. Bring it on down.
Now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now is the time.
Just suck my dick, bitch. Spread your legs for daddy.
Just suck my dick, bitch.
your fire burn as it takes control of you. There is no way you can turn, there is nothing you can do. Oh yeah, your heart will never be free as it takes you high above. So baby, won't you come with me and we can fly all around the globe. I want you, I need you. So baby, won't you come with me? I want you, I need you. of my life, the love of my life. You'll always be the one that I want, driving me crazy. You'll always be the love of my life, the love of my life. You'll always be the one that I want, driving me crazy. You'll always be the one that I want. We are the children of the night and fight for the future of our nation. Let's come together and unite. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Let the fire burn inside. Nobody can stop this generation. Cause we're the children of the night. Don't ever let them put you down. Get up, get up, I get up. Now is the time to change. Get up, I get up. There is no time to waste. Get up, I get up. Don't ever let them put you down. Get up, come along and join the scene. Live your life like a rave machine. shaking, and I'm dancing, and I'm raving. Yes, I feel it. Now I'm shaking.
So there we go. Enjoy that little mix. Some fun beats. You can get rid of the 15-minute timer. Yeah. So yeah, lots of love on the subscriptions. Check, yes, the little mic on. Yeah, I know there was a lot that came through on there. Let me try and get through some of them. Chris Van M. Shout to Gizzy545. Shout to Numskilled. So there we go. Should probably turn the sound on my phone off, otherwise you're going to just hear that feeding back, aren't you? Shout out to It's Lumi VR for the Twitch Prime subscription as well. Yeah, good era of music, that for me. I think... Oh yeah, sorry, is this music too much louder? Let me turn it down a little bit. The deck wasn't as loud. I can make the decks louder next time. Sorry, yeah. Maybe I've been too quiet. It's confusing because what I can hear in my monitor headphones isn't what you can hear going out. So when I had it in the old studio, I was doing everything. It was all going through the mixer in the back. But if I want a more complicated setup like this, it gets actually mixed in the computer mainly. And they don't put automatic feedback, if that makes any sense, because when you're playing stuff, if I was monitoring it, the app as well, I'd hear everything twice, which would be really weird. So yeah, so it doesn't have monitoring. So I set it up so I can hear it, what's nice for me to listen to, and then I have to kind of look at the levels to assume that it sounds okay. Yeah, we can get more level out of the other one. Numskilled, yeah, I don't want to build exactly the same setup because I think this setup's actually better. The only thing that I'm missing over there is there's no stand for a microphone, so which is why I can't talk when we're doing the mixes. That's the only problem with it. But I was thinking about getting, you know, like a stage mic, you know, stand. So just literally just like a, can you see the laptop stand in the background? It's like, you know, a stand like that with a microphone on the top of it. But it'll be a little bit Britney Spears-esque. I don't really want, like, not really feeling that vibe. So what I want to try and do first is I want to see if I can get a crane arm. You know, like you see, like it looks like a T-Rex off Jurassic Park. So yeah, it's like a big arm I should be able to clip in the back of, like, over there. So it'll clip on the back of there, and then it'll be floating somewhere where the light is there. So it'll be floating somewhere around there that I can just grab it and move it around. So that's the idea. Yeah, so looking to get one of them crane arms. Yeah, so at the moment the way that we've been doing it is, yeah, it's like the little pre-show, and then yes, we'll, like, you know, talk and plan, say what's going to happen on the show. Then we do yeah, the mix, which is about an hour and a half, and then we've been jumping on for 15 minutes or so afterwards, you know, just to kind of like have a little chat. and wrap things up before we wrap up the stream. Shout out to Bandit with his red arm. Yeah, actually that's a fair point, that, Bandit. Can I borrow your red arm to hold my microphone? Yeah, Del Boy, that's what I was kind of thinking, because I know it's weird because some people like having a bit of banter and chat while the music's playing, and some people are just like they just want to hear the music. So I think here you get the best of both worlds, where I can talk, get everything off my chest, we can have a chat and stuff, and then we go, okay, here's the mix. Maybe we should set up a poll. Yeah, let me know in the chat now if you like the format of having like 30 minutes of talk, an hour mix, and then 30 minutes of talk at the end, or a 2-hour mix with me talking all the way through it. Which one do you prefer? So yeah, let me know in the chat. Say talk before and after, or talk during. The Reap8 saying get your other half to hold the microphone for you. I can't now. I've got a Stardew Valley on the phone, so she's just obsessed with that. No chance of getting her to hold the microphone for an hour. Yeah, she's looking in the window now. You know they can see you. Peeping around the door. I'll put her on Kasha cam. No, she's gone now. There we go. Sort of. Wave for the camera. It's on top of the decks there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it's like, I don't think now the Stardew Valley addiction's kicked in, I don't think she's going to hold the microphone for me. Right, what other tunes can I play? I play one of my favourite old school tunes of all time. Hang on, I'm sure I've got it in the playlist somewhere. It was, like I was saying, Eminem featuring Rachel Wallace, I Feel This Way remix. It's got an awesome vocal on this one. Night Viper asking about the time code scratch. And I don't know, it was going weird. There's a couple of mixes where it's like sitting in there perfect, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like jumped out, and I was like, what's going on there? Didn't think anything of it. Thought, I don't know, maybe didn't know what had gone on. And then I noticed when a track was just playing, it kept like slowing down and dropping, and it does that when it can't, it's the signal to the mixer of the time code isn't strong enough. So what it actually does is, like, when the signal's not strong enough, it thinks you've stopped the deck. So I'm thinking maybe gunk got built up because I left the vinyls. I try and turn the vinyls the other way around, so they just don't build up dust. And I'm thinking maybe because they've been sat there for a week, because I haven't really been on them much, like I've been working in the studio, like maybe the dust had built up and it was just like dust on the needle, but I'd done it a couple of times in the mix, so I don't know what it is. Like I said, it didn't look like a scratch. I thought maybe something had dropped on it, some like juice or something had got on there, but yeah, I don't know, it was a bit weird. But yeah, once I'd wiped it clean and I'd really pulled some fluff off the needle, so I'm thinking maybe it's either the needle's knackered, don't think it's the time code. Defcon Jan saying on the intro of Keeping Brave Alive, on one of them that I said that I can wear only shorts, but it's okay because you can't see me in the studio. I've got to get fully dressed now, or relatively fully dressed, haven't I? I mean, not exactly formal wear, is it? Such a great track, this one. I was thinking, because I think Rachel Wallace is still doing stuff, or I bet you could track her down. I was thinking of getting her to do something on her track, but I'd have to really start chasing people down to try and get hold of her. I don't know if she's going to want, like, I don't know. Because the problem is I'm in Warsaw now, aren't I? So I haven't got a studio for her to record in the UK. Didn't Twitch, I know this doesn't affect me, but didn't Twitch change its dress code policy recently, where it had to be mall attire, which basically means Like, you can't do it in a bikini anymore, which was always the biggest threat to my live stream. Because I was conscious that as much as all you guys, kind of like, your support, you've been there for me, you've been solid, and I know you really appreciate my dedication to music and all of that. But I know as soon as like an 18-year-old girl in a bikini starts streaming hardstyle, I'm done, game over. And I was waiting for that to start happening, but yeah, they changed the policy, so I can hang around for a little bit longer. Have you ever been able to be topless on Twitch? I don't think you have you? But it's just like people used to kind of like abuse the policy as close as possible. And all the really hot chicks used to get up and keep bending over to pick something in the background, pick something up. And then it turned into Pornhub. Okay, let's find one last track, a great track that I can tell you is... Let's play Criminal Minds, Baptized by the Dub. This is another one of those tracks, that really kind of like, for me, just sums up the underground rave scene. Svezik says the wallpaper on the monitor is so old, I've had it a few years. Yeah, it's super old school, man. Check it out. Can you see that properly or not? Yeah, you can see it, can't you? That one. It's an old NES controller. Really nice wallpaper, actually. Looks good. Because I've got the problem with when I'm building a studio, I never buy anything in fancy colours or anything. Everything's black, 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 black. So it's nice to have like a bit of colour on the screensaver. Shout out to Haggis Man in the chat. Reason why I love this track so much is it's kind of like, it's just a steady dub influenced track, obviously, as you can hear. And then it breaks down for like a sampled piano bit at the end, and it's like, I don't know, it's just a cool track all the way through, and then it's just like icing on the cake when it flips. It's really cool. The Reaper 8's asking about the new GPF track, Broccoli. We've got yeah, I suppose I may as well. Like, yeah, with the Keeping the Rave Alive guests, we used to kind of hold it down and not say who it was, so it was a surprise each week. But it's like, kind of, it's more of an intimate thing here anyway. Yeah, we've got GPF coming in on the guest mix, like in the next month or so. Defcon Jan asking if I upload these shows. I do, but I'm pretty slack with it. I do it like as and when I think, and I'm like quite far behind at the moment. But if you search Kutski Twitch sessions wherever you listen to podcasts, they're on Mixcloud and Apple Podcasts, and the Apple Podcast thing does aggregate and populate to the Android ones as well, I believe, but I don't have an Android phone, so I don't know. But yeah, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can grab the audio for these shows as well. Just search Kutski Twitch sessions. Here's the piano drop. Verzik is asking how I like Croatia. I really like Croatia. Been out there a few times now. Yeah, it's really nice. Beautiful scenery. Beautiful scenery. But of course, for me, it's like most people be able to tell you useful facts and stuff like that about a country. For me, the thing that I know about Croatia is Mirko Krokop. Do you know who Mirko Krokop is? Legend MMA fighter. I used to watch him fight in Japan. He was a kickboxer. Call him Krokop because he was in the Croatian military police. Yeah, Night Viper knows who Mirko Krokop is, saying best left foot. What was the saying that it used to say? Like right foot hospital, left foot cemetery or something. It's pretty brutal when you hear it out loud because he seems like a really nice guy as well, but it pretty much summed it up. Got caught by one of them Mirko Krokop like left head kicks. It was game over. Yeah, I know. I heard about the fact that he had a stroke. But the good thing is, I mean, it's like I seen like an interview with him after he'd had a stroke. He's absolutely fine. He seems fine. They just said that it's like don't have another MMA fight, otherwise it's probably not going to end well. So yeah, so it's good that he got the warning and he's getting on a little bit now. You don't need to be taking that kind of injury when you're getting on a little bit later. So I'm glad he's well, and I'm glad yeah, he's retired and he's out of it, and he can just like retire with an awesome legacy. Cool, right, so I'm out of here now. I've got Keeping the Rave Alive show is going to be on Friday. You can grab that podcast, and it's technical in the guest mix. I'm going to record that tomorrow, so yeah, really looking forward to that. And then, of course, busy weekend ahead, as you can see. On Friday, playing a back-to-back with Cali, as well as in Room 2 on my own, Friday the 26th of April. That's Soldiers of the Rave 4, featuring HD UK, of course, Cali's brand. So, and then on Saturday, I've got, so, like, check it out. I did say this last week, but if you missed it. So, I'm in Warsaw at the moment. I've got to go from Warsaw to London, and then get a driver I've sorted now, taking me to Westbury to play that show, then straight back to London to catch a flight to Vegas, to play in Vegas as soon as I land. Then I've got to go back to the airport for 10 a.m. to go from Vegas to Chicago to Helsinki to Warsaw by Monday afternoon, and all of that with very, if any, sleep, and it's not going to be in a bed. So, yeah. Fun times ahead, but yeah, I'm sure I'll have plenty of cool stories to tell. I'm planning on, unless I die, I'm planning on being on the live stream next week, Tuesday, same time, same place, and all that good business. But yeah, in the meantime, yeah, I'll try and upload some more of these shows to the podcast feed if you like them, and of course Keeping the Rave Alive will be up on Friday. So yeah, thanks for joining me, thanks for all the subscriptions and donations, again, appreciate it, and I will catch you on the show same time, same place next week. So yeah, thanks for joining me, have a great week, have a great weekend, and I will catch you next week. Peace out.